At least for right now, you can kind of see my face, but hopefully I'm loud enough for you. Um, I kind of want to talk about healthcare battle while I'm still trying to get my brother to get some treatment that he needs. He's in the hospital still. I just got off the phone with my mom, and I had to explain to her something that I had to learn the hard way with him a few years ago, and I don't want to repeat this. The fact that if you try to call a hospital in the United States, they won't tell you anything about your loved one unless they've signed a release of information, or unless somehow they're in a coma or something. I don't know. So basically, when my brother was hospitalized before in Birmingham and places like that, um, they weren't communicating with me about what's wrong with him, if or when he'll be released, because I'm the one coming to pick him up and I'm the caregiver. But legally, that's why I think I was saying earlier, I'm the caregiver though, but this is the maddening part of it all, where the law protects the patient, and I totally get it. I totally understand. But if the patient is not mentally fit, unless you go, and get your either power of attorney or your guardianship, you're, you're SOL, right? And it's hard, especially when you don't know. That's the real hard part. Nobody tells you these things. There's some hospitals are better at it than others. Some are just like whatever, they just don't care. And this is the United States. That's why I say healthcare here is kind of trash. So let me get across this bridge. I live in Atlanta, and I used to kind of live actually on this street when I first moved here. But over the years, things have gentrified so much that now, oh my gosh, let me keep going, because people have parked on the bridge to take photographs of the skyline, and the police is like basically telling them, can you get off the bridge, parking in the bike lane, basically on the bridge, to take a picture. Please stop doing that. People do that now. But yeah, I took a photograph of that. I don't know if I ever want to show y'all, but as my performance name. So yeah, I just came out of band practice, speaking of, and my mom, I thought it was my brother trying to call me, and I'm trying to convince him to sign the release of information so that I can understand more of his care, because he doesn't understand what they're talking to him about. I'm gonna just be honest. He has no idea. Like, he knows the illness he has, but he doesn't understand the illness he has. And he doesn't seem to want to try to know. And I don't know if cognitively he is beyond hope in that. But in this situation, he just seems to want to get out, but he needs to get treated. And I know sometimes a lot of people overlap, and this is not a judgment towards people who are addicted to anything, but people tend to overlap substance abuse with mental illness. They're not the same, but they could be. But in my brother's case, it is not. He does not use substances, so he is not dealing with addiction. And sadly, yet, again, there is a stigma with not just mental illness, but with addiction as well. So I know, people in this field where they're in healthcare, and they're just like, they see so many people who have addiction associated with mental illness, or they have come to see so many people who are using substances to treat their mental illness by themselves. But that is not my brother's case. Okay. But they treat people in some of these situations all the same, like that. Like, oh, well, you just want to hit, or you're trying to get out because you have addiction, those kind of things. I don't know. That's my speculation, quite honestly. But it's also been what I've seen where my brother has been put in similar populations of folks who are dealing with substance abuse. And that's not my brother. He's mentally ill. He's been like that since he was a teenager, and he doesn't use substances. Okay. And I feel like there is a difference. I also feel like and as I just said before, I feel like he might be beyond, I don't want to say repair, but I feel like he is disabled at this point. And what I mean by that is the mindset. Because if he never learned to really try to get better instead of wallowing or settling for the illness, then of course you're not going to get better. Oh wait, who's that? Sorry. Hello there. So yeah, healthcare battles here in the United States. People think the United States is so great like that, but it's really not. It's really not. And I'm glad, speaking of which, I'm glad that other countries are exposing to Americans who had no idea, and I'm not one of them because I've been trying, honey, to get me some health care out of this country. That's why I practice wellness in general, because I can't afford to be sick in the United States. No one can. No one can afford to be sick here. Okay? How is that the greatest country in the world if we can't even afford to be sick because it costs too much to be sick? I'm sitting here now trying to figure it out. So I'm even, looking into options on how I can include my brother into my own health care insurance, because I don't use it because I'm healthy. Eventually I might need it. But right now I practice so much wellness that people keep forgetting that I'm almost 50 years old. And that's because I take care of myself in a way that I believe in, treating my body well. So that I don't need pills, and I don't need, to go to the doctor and be like, oh, there's something wrong, and then pay like all these ridiculous copays. There's a reason why that, the Luigi guy is so famous, because healthcare insurance companies, they're here to basically, it's bad enough that you're sick or unwell or injured or whatever, then they injure you financially as well and bankrupt you because you're trying to do the right thing or whatever. And it's really kind of sad. So yeah, so that's, where I am right now. Healthcare battles. I keep saying that, but it is a battle. It's me trying to figure out, well, how are people now? Okay. I'm also looking at long-term nursing facilities for my brother, because like I said, I feel like if he doesn't want to try to improve his quality of life in such a way that he can live around the general public, then he needs to be in a nursing facility. And some of these places are so expensive, because it's rent's already high, and then add some medical on top of that and rent, basically. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but that's where we are. My parents, my dad is a veteran, so he has, the setup, and I kind of always relied on that, but I never really thought about my brother. I thought kind of about me in a way where I would probably end up retiring in some other foreign country or something. But I hadn't really thought about my brother, and I probably should have, because now to get him somewhere where I feel like he would get the best possible care, it costs so much money. And then there are places that might be more affordable, but they're waiting list because there's so many people impoverished here. You see, that's the issue with, healthcare in the United States. There are people who are sitting, like when I first got him over here, I did try to, some of the places, but the waiting list was already months behind, months. Okay. And I was like, you know what? I might have better luck just doing this by myself, at least get him a place. And I, quote unquote, nurse him kind of thing, get him his medicine, that kind of thing. And also, try to coach him into practicing wellness. But at the same time, I didn't realize how ill he really was. Okay. All right. So it looks like I need to make a pit stop tonight, to get gas. Um, and that's cool. But yeah, that's kind of, I didn't realize how ill he really was, and um, how tricky mental illness is. So the added burden of, and like I said, he has Medicare, but I'm worried about what this presidency is trying to plan. I feel like they're trying to off everybody who might to them seem like a liability. If you're not contributing to the country, then off you go. You know, that is my big worry. Think about it. If they're trying to like gut Social Security, that's people, old people, people on disability, like they're not contributing according to them to society. Then why should we be paying? That kind of thing. So I'm just feeling all kinds of feelings right now as I pull in here. I need to get some gas. Oh my goodness, to get some gas. But I'm not feeling defeated, but I'm just feeling really frustrated though. Okay. And at the same time, like I said, it's these some laws that are meant to protect patients, which again I totally get, I understand. But what if somebody has short-term memory and they can't even remember to do the thing, and if their illness is to the effect of they don't think they're even sick, and they just want to go home and continue to do like things that are not helpful to themselves, it makes things a lot harder. And that's where we are with my brother right now. So I'm having a little bit, I don't want to say a standoff, but I need him to sign some paperwork, because otherwise he'll end up like he did before, being unhoused and homeless. And a lot of people always ask, well, how do people end up homeless? This is how. Some of these laws where they know these people are mentally ill, and they say the words in front of them. I'll just say this. They'll say the words, sir, Mr. Smith, I need you to sign this. Or no, they don't even say need. They say, well, do you want to sign a blah, 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 blah? And of course, they're already ill, mentally ill. They don't know. They don't even know what that means. And they'll just say no or whatever. And that's the thing that could help save them. That's a lifeline. If their own families can't even like help them. Okay? What was meant to protect the patient also harms them. That's where we are in the United States with this stuff. So yeah, let me go ahead and get some gas because I need to go lay down and get ready for work tomorrow. Okay? So band practice was great, and it was definitely life-giving and all the good stuff. But with that, I'm gonna say take care, y'all, seriously. Okay? And I'll update you on, those kind of things. But yeah, he's still in the hospital, and I need him to be in there for as long as it takes for him to get some stabilization and some kind of action plan moving forward now, because I'm not going to be doing this every other week. Seriously, I'm not. And I'm not okay with him being homeless.